All right. Welcome back to another episode of Avatar Tea Time.
Yeah.
Cheers. Cheers, baby.
Cheers.
Woohoo.
Let's go.
Let's go. We're excited to be back. We're excited to talk about the next two episodes of Avatar, The Last Airbender, Book 1. Before we do so, though, let's talk about the Avatar news
Yeah.
of the live action series.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah, you go ahead.
That's
Baby.
dope. I think that they just announced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the beginning of this month, June? Or was
Yeah.
it last month?
I
Anyways,
don't
they
know.
announced, Netflix announced on their like Tadum
Brazil
showing thing. They're gonna launch like a lot of news about different Netflix shows, but it was confirmed that Avatar: The Last Airbender would be something that's announced in that reveal or whatever. Yeah, whatever they're doing in Brazil. They finally gave us a date for June 17th.
Yes, we're excited. So that means like what, in a couple weeks?
Yeah.
We'll get some sort of
2 weeks.
insight of Avatar: Last Airbender, the live action series.
Yeah. I feel like that it's been so long since we've been waiting for something. Like, when are they going to at least give us a little bit of a trailer or something? And now that it doesn't feel real now that they've announced that something's coming. And when I first heard that, I got like really nervous.
I know.
I'm super nervous, but I think that it will like be better than what we think it is. That's just my prediction.
Yeah.
Is that it's gonna surprise us in a very good way.
I really hope so.
I do too.
I think so as well, though. I agree with your prediction. I feel like it will surprise us. Netflix puts on good shows for the most part.
Yeah,
sometimes they miss, but I feel like for them to, like, for example, like we've said in other episodes how Beaver and I are just always on YouTube looking at people's videos, and then also on social media just at people's posts.
Yeah.
And we saw like the little snippet of like a close-up of Avatar Roku's
Yeah,
face.
they're just giving us crumbs to work with at this point.
Exactly. So I feel like the fact that they're giving us so little information and all these little bitty crumbs,
yeah,
it must be so good. Like, they must be really excited and proud of this show.
I hope so. Because you're right. I do think that Netflix like puts out good stuff, but it's just all of these like animated series, animated movies that they do live actions for.
Correct,
just in general, that I feel like it is always kind of like even like the good ones, you're just like,
We're like, it's just a remake.
Yeah, but you know what we were talking about this morning is that I think the bending is going to be really, really cool. And in the Avatar: The Last Airbender live series, I think that they're going to do a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that we're seeing really cool bending from previous avatars. And of course it'll follow, Katara, Sokka, and Aang, but I think there will be more flashbacks than there was in the original animated series.
I agree.
I think that'll be cool. So there is a lot of opportunity. We're just going to keep a positive attitude about it. And whatever they come up with, like, I just feel like you and I, we just know it's never going to be the
series we grew up on.
Yeah, the series we grew up with. It's not fair to compare that.
Correct.
And I'm just excited that they are doing something based on, something that we absolutely love. So that's cool. I am excited for the animated movie that's coming out.
Yeah.
So that's supposed to be, I think,
October 2024 or something.
Is it 2024 or is it going to be?
I've heard so many things, but maybe it's 2023. Yeah. I don't know.
Or, no, I think that what I heard was it was supposed to be 2025.
Oh,
the one that's following,
maybe it's 2025.
Yeah, the one that's following.
I know it's in October, but at some one of those years. Dang.
Yeah, as we get more information about that, we'll talk about it more. But yeah, excited about that.
We're excited. We're going to continue talking about it.
Yeah.
But all right. So back to these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the winter solstice part 1 and part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first episode.
What are they called? The winter. First one is called.
The first one is called the Spirit World.
The Spirit World.
And then parentheses the winter solstice part 1.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. The Spirit World. This one's cool episode. It's the first time where Aang goes into the Spirit World.
Yeah.
So we see that there's this connection between reality. I guess what did they call it in the show?
Yeah, the old man was explaining about the Spirit World and how
the Avatar connects the Spirit World to like the real world.
Yeah.
So
he's that bridge.
He's that bridge.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this one's really cool. I think what was so funny is at the beginning, like everybody is relying on Aang.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's like this village that is needing the assistance of the Avatar, and Katara and Sokka are just like, you look like really unsure on how to handle this, and he's like, well, I have no idea about anything about the Spirit World.
Right.
Which is like funny because it's like, you know, he's supposed to be the one that's like connected. He's the bridge.
Like, hey, tell us what to do. And he's like, I have no idea.
Yeah, which is just so like, I don't know. I want to give credit to Aang right now because we're obsessed with Zuko and everybody is obsessed with Zuko and his like character development and his arc in the show. But
yeah,
Aang
let's
is
give
like
a little credit to Aang.
You
and
have
his
to
development.
because he has no. I mean, Zuko has Uncle Iroh,
correct,
and he's had him for the past couple years, and Aang has nobody. He had Monk Gyatso, but that's so early on, and he just doesn't have anybody to show him how to be connected to any part of what he's supposed to be, not the spiritual side, not just the different bending, but yeah. So shout out to Aang.
Shout out to Aang. And that's what he talks about at the very beginning when they are flying over I think still part of the Earth Kingdom, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still flying over the Earth Kingdom, making their way to the North Pole. The North Pole. The Northern Water Tribe. And they notice that the Fire Nation must have burned down like this forest of trees. And so they go down, and Aang is feeling like it's his fault.
Yeah.
Like he's feeling like it's his job to protect nature, and he says that it's his job and that he doesn't know how to. He doesn't know how to protect nature. He doesn't know how to be the Avatar. All he knows, he needs to master the elements, but there's something more to just mastering elements, just bending. It's being the Avatar. Then that's one of his responsibilities. He feels so strongly is this connection with nature, and this protection over it, and he feels just so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. He's still a child, you know?
Yeah, he's a little kid.
He's a little kid. And so we find out from that clip is, Monk Gyatso was supposed to be there and explain what's happening, and all he remembers from Monk Gyatso is that in order to help him be like the Avatar, Monk Gyatso said that Avatar Roku would help him. So that's our first foretelling, I guess, of these next 2 episodes about Aang needs to connect with Avatar Roku, but he has no idea how. And Sokka's like, how are you gonna connect with somebody if that was like somebody from 100 years ago? Like, how are you supposed to like
Sokka is always so hilarious because he's just like so like just says it how it is. He's like, he's such
like, a realist.
Aang's like going through it, and he's like, well, Monk Gyatso, and he's like trying to understand his place as the Avatar, and Sokka's just like, dude,
How are you supposed to do that?
Yeah, how are you supposed to do that? He died over 100 years ago, and he just says what everyone is thinking.
He
but
does.
It's also just like, Katara gets on him all the time about like it's just not the time and place. Or like, look at Aang, he looks so sad, and he's just feeling like so overwhelmed with his responsibilities as the Avatar, and then Sokka just makes it worse.
He kind of does.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's interesting because Aang is kind of having to face the fact that this village, so they go to the village. This village has been being attacked by a spirit every single night, and so Aang's just like, okay, I have to like do my Avatar duties and protect this village and go on another side quest. But then he also is just like, but like it would be so much easier if somebody could just like tell me, and then I'm supposed to having to talk to this guy that's dead, and I just don't know anything. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. It's so interesting because they're like, okay, like we've been being attacked every night. Like our villagers are getting taken away by this spirit, and like the solstice is coming up, and I can't imagine what it's supposed to be like at the solstice. Like our village has been getting destroyed, all this stuff by the spirit, and they're like, hey Aang, like what are we supposed to do? And Aang's just like goes out there, he's like, okay spirit, don't attack this village anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, yep, that should be good.
I know, he's so proud of himself. He just like slams his staff into the ground. He's like, all right, well that takes care of it.
Yep. And then he's like, okay, and turns around. Oh my gosh, I don't think you'll be like as connected with this spirit as I was because of the animated movies I used to watch as a kid.
Oh really?
Did you ever watch like Studio Ghibli's shows or movies and stuff? So for those who are fans of Studio Ghibli, that's like Spirited Away, Kiki's Delivery Service, Castle in the Sky.
No, never watched that.
That was my childhood, those movies. And when I first saw that spirit, which we know as Heibai.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I was creeped out, first of all.
It is creepy.
It is creepy because after Aang's just like, okay, go away, and he turns around, that thing's just like over on top of him, like breathing.
It's
and
this
like
huge, like
so creepy.
What would you even say that looks like?
I don't know.
Like,
but why I brought up Studio Ghibli is because it reminds me, the animation specifically and the creepiness, the eeriness of it.
Yeah.
Reminded me of that as a kid, like Spirited Away.
Really?
That sort of animation, the creepiness of it.
Yeah. It is creepy.
It is creepy.
It looks like it kind of looks like the Demogorgon.
Oh my gosh, it does
from
Stranger Things.
Yeah. But it's huge. It's like
is big.
What, like 30, 40 feet in the air.
It's black and white.
Yeah, it's black and white. I think when I first saw it, what I first thought of is it looked like when I was younger and saw it, I was like, that kind of looks like Venom from Spider-Man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's like creepy like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's fair.
Yeah.
Make all these comparisons.
I do remember seeing it when I was a kid and just being like, holy, that's
creepy.
really creepy. Yeah.
That's creepy. I was scared of it. It's a good spirit that they portray that is like attacking the village, and
the villagers like don't really know why, right?
They don't know why, and they know it's a spirit, and so I imagine they just don't know what to do, especially because they don't want to anger it more. All these villagers keep getting abducted. Yeah,
it keeps abducting like one person from the village every single night. Which is freaking terrifying.
That is terrifying. Holy cow.
Like if you lived in that village and you knew like this spirit comes every single night and takes somebody.
Isn't it interesting that an old man, he has like a staff. He's walking with a staff,
Yeah.
And approaches the Avatar and is like, we need your help.
Yeah. Why?
Isn't that interesting? I just feel like thinking about it, like all these young people, they may not believe, maybe they see a spirit, right? They have to see it. They see it destroying. But I'm sure they're just thinking like all these new tactics of like how to destroy it. And the old man is the one who's like, we need the Avatar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think that's interesting?
He probably, that is interesting. He probably grew up with stories about the Avatar. And yeah, to these other younger people, like the Avatar is just kind of a myth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's just like, I know the Avatar can do it. The Avatar can get rid of the spirit and make sure he stops attacking the village. So
it's interesting.
Yeah. So
yeah. So the creepy spirit Heibai is walking behind Aang. They end up fighting. He's destroying the village, and Sokka goes in to help him.
Yeah.
And poor Sokka.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that goes into just, like, the character of Sokka. He couldn't just sit... Because all the villagers are in this, like, one big building. And everybody in the village is just, like, huddled in there. And Sokka's just like, we can't just stay in here and let Aang, like, fight this thing all by himself. And so finally, Aang is, like, commanding him to stop, and the spirit just, like, backhands him. And he goes flying, and that's when Sokka finally is like, I can't do it anymore. And he runs out to help Aang. And something that I liked is he's just like, he's like, no, Sokka, go. Aang's like, Sokka, go back in. And he's like, no, we'll fight him together. And then Aang's response is like, I don't want to fight him unless, and then he gets taken.
That's true.
And so it just goes into like, Aang is just like, he doesn't want to fight at all. And it just shows in everything that he does is that he's just this young kid that wants to have fun, and he avoids fighting at all costs.
Yeah.
But then the spirit like grabs Sokka and starts running away. And is abducting Sokka, and then Aang is following him and loses Sokka.
I thought it was really interesting, that part too, that Aang doesn't want to fight. It's against his nature.
Yeah, it is.
It's like not what he thinks. He wants peace, and he believes that the Avatar is supposed to bring peace. He just doesn't know how to.
Yeah, interesting.
It is interesting.
Because I just had this thought about how throughout all of the series, it's just like Aang's always trying to find a way to avoid fighting, and every single person that joins the gang or is in the gang or like is like, you gotta fight, you gotta be an Avatar, you gotta like,
you have to destroy,
you have to protect, you have to
the Fire Nation.
And Aang's just like, there has to be another way, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which is really interesting. It's perfect. It's just perfect.
It's just a perfect show. It is such a perfect show, because even in these early episodes, and people that have watched the series will like, maybe they noticed it, but in the last, you know, there's like this chanting from an animal, this huge animal that we figure out later in the series. But it does like this chanting thing that calls Aang. But I heard it in these episodes.
Really?
Yeah. And so I was just like, everything is just so perfect and planned.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
Whoa. And we're referring, I don't know if we want to spill the tea.
Go ahead. If you're listening to this, you probably watched the Avatar. Yeah.
But are you referring to the chanting in regards to the dancing with dragons chanting?
Is it in there? I'm talking about the lion turtle.
Oh, what?
Yeah. I was like, nah, she, no, me,
oh.
no. Yeah.
And you've heard it? This was
and
like,
it was in these episodes.
In these episodes?
Yeah. Which is interesting. It's because it's like when Aang is ever in the spirit world or gets close to like the spirit world, it's like in there. And this is so sick that this is the first time that Aang
is entering the spirit
world.
So cool.
Which I don't know about you. So yeah, so Aang enters the spirit world. He finally gets into the spirit world, and I feel like for Aang, it's kind of like this weight lifts off his back, because he's finally able to get a little bit of direction. Yeah.
I think so. I can see that. I can see that a little bit of weight is lifted off
Yeah.
of him. At first, you're just confused, though.
Yeah.
You're just like, what is going on? He becomes this, like, blue thing.
Yeah. He gets into, like, this meditative state where he's able to pass over into the spirit world.
Into the spirit world.
Yeah.
Well, what causes him to go into that spirit world is he hits that totem.
Was it that he hit the totem?
I thought so.
Well, okay, so we'll back up for just a bit. So when
he's chasing
it is, yeah, so he's chasing
Sokka,
the spirit that takes Sokka. And it goes into this totem of a bear. And it's back into the field of where everything got burnt down from the Fire Nation. This totem. And so he knocks into it. And then he doesn't know what to do, and so he just starts meditating on the totem. Is that what happens?
I do not remember. Yeah. That is my bad.
But anyways, the spirit and Sokka disappear once it's like they go into the totem almost. And then that's where Aang is just like, I don't know what to do. And I'm pretty sure he just starts meditating onto the totem.
Okay.
And then so when he doesn't know that he's in the spirit world yet. And so he starts coming and he's walking back, and Katara's been waiting at the village all night, kind of at the gates where the spirit took Sokka.
Yeah. She's
just sitting there waiting for Aang and Sokka to return. And you see that Aang is kind of like this see-through blue color, and he's just like, Katara, I lost Sokka. And he's like, Katara, can you hear me? And she can't hear him because he's already in the spirit world. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that not even Appa could see him or hear him.
Yeah, that is interesting.
But I mean, it makes sense. I mean, obviously it makes sense, but it's interesting. We also find out that he can't airbend.
Yeah,
he can't do any sort of bending in the spirit world.
Yeah.
So
this is when it gets good.
This is when it gets good. But do you want to, because during this time it keeps flashing back to Zuko and Iroh.
Yeah.
So should we talk about them for a little bit?
Yeah.
Because I think it collides.
Yeah, it does collide.
Yes.
Yeah. So I saw this thing online about how it's just so interesting that Uncle Iroh is just like constantly almost like, well, like intentionally, I feel like keeping Zuko away from capturing the Avatar for real, because he just where it flashes to them is he is in like these natural springs, and he's heated the water, and he's just like hot tubbing outside in the Earth Kingdom. And Zuko's like, we gotta go, and he's like, why don't you just relax? Your teacher tells you to relax. You need to relax. And he's like, I'm not gonna relax. And so he's sitting in there, Uncle Iroh, just hanging out, and he gets caught by earthbenders.
Yeah. He does. I really like this part with this episode with Zuko and Uncle Iroh.
Yeah.
We really start to learn more about their relationship. I really like Uncle Iroh. Okay, so also I do believe that there's a part of him that is trying to stall Zuko from finding the Avatar, but I also believe that Uncle Iroh is the definition of like finding joy in the journey.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I also really think that he knows that Zuko's gonna capture the Avatar at one point, and because he helps Zuko with everything he needs, like, for example, a few episodes back when when Zuko was trying to capture the Avatar and they were flying away, and Uncle Iroh helps him try to firebend, maybe I just feel like he really. I think there is that part too where he's like trying to stall Zuko.
Yeah.
He knows that it's
And
not
he doesn't,
time
yeah,
yet. Maybe.
he doesn't have everything figured out either.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Iroh, like as
No,
much as
no.
everybody loves him, and he is so wise and such a
He
good
is so
teacher,
wise.
he's probably just taking it a day at a time too.
I agree.
This is all new to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's with his nephew who's been banished, and they're basically like fugitives almost.
Kind of, yeah.
And yeah, so
I just feel
I do agree with you that although he is like, there's parts of him that's teaching Zuko, it's not always just like he is just a guy that like stops to smell the roses as well,
yeah.
and he likes to just,
and he wants to teach that to his nephew.
yeah,
he
who
knows
totally
the importance
needs to,
of, who needs that.
yeah, because Zuko is just all gas, no brakes, like just full of anger, full of angst, but
full of angst.
Yeah, so he gets captured by these earthbenders.
Yes.
Which is interesting because I kind of want to jump back to what happens while he's captured.
Cool. I would like to, before what he gets captured, before that part, I think that you're talking about.
You know what part I'm talking
Yes, I do know what part. So before we jump there, Uncle Iroh gets captured by the earthbenders, and Zuko at that point when Uncle Iroh was captured, was waiting at the ship. And Uncle Iroh was like, he wakes up from being in the hot springs, and then is awoken by the earthbenders, and that's how he gets captured. But he's like, I missed the deadline my nephew had for me to meet him at the ship. And he's like, oh well. And so we think that Zuko's long gone.
Yeah.
And we see that Iroh got captured, and then it goes to Zuko where he's on the ship, or he comes back to the hot springs. Obviously he hasn't gone.
Yeah.
It was way past that deadline that he gave to Uncle Iroh, but he came and showed up and was trying to find his uncle, and he finds out that earthbenders must have captured him. And so we see it's like because while he's at the spot with the hot spring, is like, the earthbenders must have captured him.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's at that spot or somewhere else, but he sees the avatar when he's tracking to go get his uncle. He sees the avatar, so he has this choice: do I go save my uncle, or do I go, and capture the avatar? Which we know goal. It's not Aang. It's actually Katara looking for Aang.
Oh yeah, on Appa. Yeah.
On Appa, yeah.
But he knows that.
He knows it's Appa. Yeah. So, I love this part because we're just like, is Zuko gonna go after Aang?
Yeah. Yeah.
But we actually know that he goes after his uncle.
Yeah.
Which is so sweet.
Yeah,
which is so good.
I mean, it just is so good into his story of like how he's always kind of like split. Like, to go capture the avatar, that would that's what his goal is, so that his father back in the Fire Nation can accept him. But then there's this softer part to him where he's just like, that's my uncle, I love him, and I'm gonna get I'm stuck between having to do what's right and having to do what I think is right, or his destiny. And I love that too. I love the fact that he's all talk when he's
right.
He's almost like, we're gonna leave you. We will. He's like, I will leave you, and then he's just like, all right, I gotta go. Because he needs him.
He does.
And, he doesn't. I don't think Zuko would ever admit that, but he in these first seasons, but he needs Uncle Iroh.
I agree.
And they need each other.
They do.
For other reasons that we'll find out in the future too. But yeah, so
we're big fans.
Yeah,
obviously.
Thank you for catching that, because remember when we saw that part and we're like, who's he gonna choose? But we already knew that he was gonna go find Iroh. But so.
All right, so let's cut back to now Aang.
Yeah.
He's in the spirit world.
Yeah.
So, He's realizing, Aang is realizing he's in the spirit world. So we're backtracking. He's in the spirit world, and he's realizing that, oh, Katara can't see me, hear me, all of that. And then all of a sudden he sees like something coming at him.
Yeah.
This like blue light coming at him.
Yeah.
And then as it comes closer and closer, he sees it's a dragon. And he can't airbend, he can't protect himself, and all of a sudden the dragon comes up straight to him, and he finds out.
Yeah. And then the dragon, I guess, uses like his like whisker or whatever to like communicate, but his whisker like touches Aang right on the forehead, and then he understands who he is. Like, he can communicate that way. And he finds out that that's he calls it, oh, you're Avatar Roku's spirit guide, just like how Appa's my spirit guide, which is interesting.
Animal guide, spirit animal guide.
You're my animal guide, or something like that. And so he jumps onto, does he have a name? He jumps onto Avatar Roku's dragon, and they start flying, and he takes him to this island that's in the Fire Nation, this Fire Nation temple, and basically tells him this is where he can meet with Avatar Roku. And then we get the first shot of Avatar Roku and Aang talking to each other.
Yeah. Where he can wait, really?
Yeah, isn't it? Like,
I don't think they talk to each other yet.
Oh, don't they?
I think they talk to each other the next episode.
No, they do.
Really?
They do talk, because remember, he goes, "It's good to see you, Aang." And then he's like, "What took you so long?"
Oh, I swear that was in the second episode.
Oh, maybe
because that's when he was like, I need to talk to Avatar Roku. Oh, is this when I get to talk to him? Is during the solstice?
Oh, I'm confused then.
This is what we get for watching the 2 episodes.
So does he just take it? He takes him to the temple.
Yeah,
and tells him that he can talk to him on the solstice. Okay,
and then that's why he was just like, I can't wait until then. I have to save Sokka now.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. Okay, my bad. I'm meshing the 2 episodes together. But what I did want to jump to is that when he's flying to go to that temple in the spirit world,
we get a glimpse.
Yeah, we get this glimpse, and it goes back to Uncle Iroh, and he's they have him all chained up, the Earthbenders, and just like how Katara couldn't see Aang in the spirit world, nobody could, Appa couldn't, but we see that Uncle Iroh does see the dragon and Aang.
Yes.
And so he is
flying
able to
overhead.
see into the spirit world, which I'm like, I want to break that down. Like, why can Uncle Iroh see into the spirit world? And I have my theories and thoughts, but why do you think?
Well, it's like such a small part. Like, I don't think I
so
noticed
little.
that at all. It's only now watching back because we know the connection of Uncle Iroh and dragons. So I feel like, and who he is in general. Because at that part, that's when we first, I don't know if we first, but we get to know more and more about how Uncle Iroh had bossing Say under his siege.
Yeah, under his siege.
And so, and he had it for a long time, and then just ended up just packing up and leaving, essentially.
Oh yeah, it's the Earthbender.
The Earthbender.
Yeah, that's the Earthbender. That's like, you're the great
that.
general of the Dragon of the West.
And
the Dragon of the West.
The Dragon of the West.
So sick.
And so, and he's like, they're talking to him like that as he's all chained up and all that stuff. And then it's just little part where we see Uncle Aang on the dragon, and so we see the dragon overhead, and it's just little face that Uncle Iroh makes that just like wakes him up. He's like, oh. He looks up in the sky, and then that causes him to like start to take action and firebend out of the chains and stuff like that.
Which is so cool. Like why did that like spark him wanting to get freed? Because he was just like, oh, you guys are taking me, okay,
Yeah, he was like,
He was
okay,
kind of just,
whatever.
yeah,
I'll find a way out, or
yeah,
might not feel probably come and save me. But it was like that's what sparked him to
yeah.
start to escape.
You know what's so interesting about that too, and
Huh?
how that plays into who Uncle Iroh is? So
Yeah.
there's this old movie with Bruce Lee in it. There's this old movie, and it's so cool because I think about this now. Now that I'm into like, combat sports and martial arts and stuff, and just understand what it is to be like a fighter, Um, but so Bruce Lee, he is like getting trapped. There's like these trap doors
Oh,
in
okay.
this movie,
In this movie, what is
and
it called?
I can't remember. I'll have to look at it,
Okay,
but
okay.
it's just one of these movies that I watched when I was a little kid,
Yeah.
and he's just like, while he's running, this trapdoor drops, and then he's like, oh, and then he tries to go back the way he just came from, and then a trapdoor drops, and they're like dropping, and he's just caught into this like little room,
Oh,
and there's
okay.
no way out,
Uh-huh.
and what Bruce Lee does is he just sits down cross-legged and starts to meditate and like breathe and like get his breath under control.
Whoa.
And that is just such that is just part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like when there's nothing to do, and this is just like why I love fighting and boxing, and why it just like it bleeds into just like how you handle real life situations, is that sometimes there's like nothing you can do. You might be trapped in a situation, you might have to wait for something, but it'd be like worse to just like be like hitting the wall, hyperventilating, like just like using up your energy to try to get out. Sometimes you really just have to wait for like and what we've been talking about lately is like responding to things,
Mm-hmm.
and how you have to just kind of wait to see, okay, what's going to happen. Let me collect my thoughts. Let me like really just meditate on what the next steps are, control my breathing. And that's just like what Uncle Iroh's doing.
Yeah.
He's not like fighting them like so hard, like
He's
firebending against
responding.
them. He's like just like, okay, like let me just see where this takes me. He's just letting
Mm-hmm.
them. Then he sees the avatar, and then he kind of knows that, okay, now I'm going to act and get freed and get
Mm-hmm.
back with my nephew.
I love
And
that.
you know what's interesting is that maybe he's using this as an opportunity to see if Zuko can be resourceful by himself
Maybe.
without his help,
Maybe.
track them and maybe see if he's actually gonna choose to come after him. I don't know. Who
I don't
knows?
know.
There's
I
just
think
always teaching moments.
there's always teaching
and everything,
moments,
so.
and it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Like I feel like in that situation, there could be multiple thoughts that he might have, but he's just responding, like you said, to
Yeah.
what's going on and
Right.
what he sees. I like even before then. We didn't mention this part, but I like even before then. We keep on skipping around.
That's okay.
But I like even before then how Uncle Iroh, he knows that Zuko's gonna come and find him,
Yeah.
or someone's gonna come find him,
Mm-hmm.
because he leaves his slipper.
Yeah.
He leaves the slipper, and he just casually does it. He casually leaves his slipper for Zuko to come find him,
Yeah.
and then what causes him to break out of the chains later on down the road, is the dragon.
Yeah.
So let's talk more though, about the connection. What you think the connection is with him
Yeah.
and the
Oh,
spirit
yeah, yeah.
world.
Why he can see into.
Yeah, why do you think he can see that dragon?
Yeah. Like what you were saying with like
Mhm.
how we know that in the future, like we
Uh-huh.
find out that there's like a real connection with him. And like even behind his name, the Dragon of the West,
Mhm.
and what that means. I think that definitely plays into it, as well as he has just like studied a lot and has a lot of experience.
Mhm.
And I feel like there's people that I know that's like, you kind of, in real life, like you can kind of tell that they have like this deeper connection to whatever is going on that's like unseen,
Yeah.
It's like almost like through their experience and stuff that they've had personally through their life, like they kind of have like this wisdom about them.
Right.
And I think that's part of it too.
that connects them.
Yeah, is why he can see kind of into the
Yeah.
spirit world and other sad stuff that happens that we find out later.
Huh. Like, should we just break it down and talk about it all? Because it's a lot. I feel like maybe we can talk more about it later. But there's a lot of stuff that I feel like and reasons why he can see the dragon.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, maybe a huge part is that it is Avatar Roku's dragon. And he is a firebender.
Yeah.
Uncle Iroh.
Yeah.
Uncle Iroh is. He also has these huge connections with dragons. Yes, as we will find out, he is the Dragon of the West. He's called that for other reasons, though, than what we think.
Yeah.
Later on.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Like, freaking shout out to the writers, man.
For reals. For reals. I feel like, yeah. I think we're going to have to talk about it in another episode more so. But
Yeah.
it's just very, very interesting and very impactful. I think we'll continue thinking about as
I'm
the
down to
episodes
break down,
go.
like, just certain topics, like, not just, like, episodes.
Mhm.
I'm down to just, like, talk about, like, Uncle Iroh
Uncle Iroh.
specifically. And
Okay.
yeah.
I think we
some
should.
points. Yeah.
I think we should.
And then break down, like, Zuko specifically.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
That would be really fun.
Cool.
Okay, let's do it. Keep an eye out for those episodes when we do it.
Well,
But
just moving
yeah.
along.
Let's move along. So, from there, let's just continue with Uncle Iroh.
Yeah.
So from there, we know that, okay, so Uncle Iroh gets waken up and he's like, okay, he starts to break free of the earthbenders and starts like airbending from his mouth, from his feet, because he's all chained up.
Yeah.
But he starts airbending from, why do I keep saying airbending?
I don't know. You're talking about Uncle Iroh.
Yes.
Right? Oh,
He
yeah.
keeps
He's
firebending from his mouth, from his feet.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of rolling down the hill trying to break free of the earthbenders.
Mm-hmm.
And then over a little bit of time of
But
him,
she's really just stalling.
you think?
I think so. He's just giving Zuko an opportunity to catch up with them.
Ah, that's true.
He's
because he doesn't
if he
break
wanted to
free.
break free, he'd break free.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's still chained up while he's firebending, and then once Zuko comes, that's when he breaks free of those chains, and he's just like,
Well, Zuko breaks his chains.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah. So I think he's just stalling.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then
Okay.
so he's doing all these like just kind of annoying things like to the Earthbender guys, army people, whatever they are. And so the one general is just like, these hands are too dangerous, and so they have his hands like spread out on a rock, and the general is earthbending a huge rock over his hands, and they're about to just break his hands.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then Zuko comes.
Zuko comes right when he's about to drop the rock on his hands and just kicks the rock. He kicks the rock out of the way, and then he does like this swing leg kick thing and breaks the chains from Uncle Iroh's hands. Yeah.
Oh.
And then they beat all of them.
Yeah. I love how the earthbenders are like, we got you outnumbered.
Yeah.
And then
It's like, you're clearly outnumbered.
And then Uncle Iroh, what does he say?
He's like, you're clearly outmatched.
Yes, you're clearly outmatched.
Yeah.
Which I love that. Zuko must feel like that's so cool. He's like, yeah, you guys are.
Yeah,
You know?
and I think that not necessarily that firebending is like the best element, but I do think that like the Fire Nation, they just put a lot of emphasis onto like combat.
I agree.
And so even these generals or these like army guys in the Earth Kingdom, even though there's more of them, just like the Fire Nation, they just grow up from a young age training how to fight.
Right.
So even though
really
they're good earthbenders, they just kind of don't have that experience, or like they don't really take it as serious as the firebenders. Yeah. That's what I think.
That is a really fair thought. I really like that. Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, the earthbenders quickly get defeated, which is cool.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And Uncle Iroh and Zuko are able to go off together and get back to the ship, I assume.
Yeah. So they get back to the ship, and then jumping back to Aang.
Yes.
So
Aang was at the temple, and then we find out that he gets to talk with Roku.
Yeah.
At the winter solstice.
Yeah, he has to make it.
And he's like, I have to save Sokka before then. And so then Roku's dragon takes him back to the totem.
Yeah.
And he goes back to the real world.
Yeah. And that's cool how he goes back. Like, so the dragon just like flies right at his body. Mm-hmm. And then right when his spirit and his body like connect, then he like opens his eyes and he's back in the real world.
Back in the real world.
Yeah.
That's true. I like that part.
Yeah. And so he goes back to the village, and Katara's happy, and she's like, oh, where's Sokka? And he's like, I don't know. Like, he still doesn't know like what's going on. But I think that just that one trip into the spirit world, then he kind of understands like the spirit side of everything now. Or is starting to. Yes. That he can't approach this spirit animal that's taking people from the village, like in this, like, just kind of this way that's like worldly. Right.
Yeah. Right. I really like that. You can't approach it with like with power.
Yeah.
And there must be a reason why that spirit is there.
Yeah, because in a way, so like the spirit is like unbalanced.
Right.
And so he has to restore the balance.
Oh my gosh, that is exactly what I wanted to go into. Yeah? I'm so glad you said that. Because Aang realizes that he is the spirit of the forest. Mm-hmm. And so he talks to the spirit monster and tells him that like, you must be the spirit of the forest. Like, you must be so angry that your forest is all burned down.
Empathizes with him. Yeah.
And so then he's like, and it goes back to the acorn at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Goes back to the acorn at the beginning, which I don't know if we talked about at the beginning. I don't know if we did. But Katara helps comfort Aang by telling him that at the beginning that the acorn, like, look, Aang, there's acorns all around. That means that the forest will grow back. Eventually grow back. And so that's what Aang tells the spirit monster, is that, oh, you must be the spirit of the forest. Like, you must be so mad, and empathizes with him. And then shows him the acorn and is like, see, these are acorns are all over. Like, that means that the forest will grow back. Yeah. And so then the spirit monster calms down. Yeah. And we see that it's a bear, a panda bear.
Yeah, a panda bear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the spirit animal is like black and white. It's just black and white with it. Yeah. Yes. And then when it calms down, and Aang like helps him understand that it will get better one day, and like then empathizes with him, that it turns back into its original like spirit self, and it's this panda bear, and then he's like kind of okay, like I feel like he's just like, okay, I feel like understood now, and so walks away, and then all the people that he had abducted, they walk out, and they're back into the real world.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted.
What happened?
I know. He's like, I got a bathroom. Which of course there's some comedic relief. Yeah. But that's what I wanted to talk about, because I thought it was so interesting, black and white. You know? Yeah. And that's where I feel like there's so much representation with balance in this show.
Yeah.
And black and white is a great, like the yin and yang.
The yin and yang, yeah.
The yin and yang.
I don't know how you pronounce it.
I don't know how
People say
either.
it's yin and yang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, which is a really good foretelling, I feel like.
Yeah.
To the end of this book.
Yeah, this book specifically. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. It is. And you see that he's back in balance with himself and his feelings, the spirit, and is able to see that, you know, although that the Fire Nation came and burnt the forest, like, it will be better in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, yeah. And then at the end of this one, Aang is telling Katara and Sokka that he knows how to talk to Avatar Roku.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, yeah, great. How? And he's like, I have to make it to this temple by the winter solstice at this time. And they're like, okay. And he's like, the only thing he is like, it's in the Fire Nation. In their faces.
And they're just like, what? And we're, as a kid, we're like, what?
The Fire Nation?
What? How are they going to do that?
Yeah. But,
I love
what
that.
do you think? What do you think? Do you think we should jump into the next one, or do you think that was good to cover this
I
one?
really think that was good. Yeah, it's been about 50 minutes. So,
Okay. Yeah.
That was a
Well,
good...
maybe we'll record the next one like tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
maybe we will.
We'll split it up.
Yeah, I think that is perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one's
Well, stay tuned for part 2. We'll have that up really soon.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
See ya.